Hey, what's up, everybody? This week, I want to talk to you guys about a couple of different things. I had gone through, we're going to talk about making this thing three-dimensional. We're going to talk about adding some openings for some windows and doors. I already have actually done this lesson. I had planned to have you guys do all the openings and put the windows and doors in 1 week. But as I'm going through this process, I'm realizing that it's just taking way too long for 1 week's worth of work. So we're just going to be concentrating on creating the three-dimensional drawing and popping openings in for doors and for windows, which I don't think I have an opening for a window that doesn't have a window in it. And then next week, we're going to talk about downloading models like windows and doors, how we can position those, how we can scale those, and do different things. Okay, so let me go back to my original drawing, which luckily I saved as a copy here. So when we go to my house, um, so at this point here, we have our flat plane of our house, or my house in this case. You're going to have your house as well. So when we go through this process, we're going to start off by, and if you've done a really good job of like erasing all the lines in between your walls, doing this three-dimensional process is pretty easy. We're going to bring up my ceiling height in my house is for the most part 8 feet high, except for in my living room, it's 9 feet high because the floor goes down an extra foot compared to everything else. So I'm going to start bringing that up, and I'm going to change this number to be 8 feet. Um, and notice that like all of my exterior stuff has changed at this point, so that's cool. These walls are not attached to anything else, so I need to bring those up too. And I could either type 8 feet again, or I can select the surface, like this endpoint at there, and those two things are even with one another. My living room goes down 1 foot, and again, that gives me my 9 foot ceiling height inside of there. And when I look at like my garage and this floor are actually even with one another as well. My porch also goes down even, oops. My porch also goes down even with that as well. And like the rest of my house kind of goes down like that too, but that's where I'm going to leave it at for right now. So one thing we're going to have to do before we go too much further is start to clean up some lines. As we extrude things, if there was lines before there, they get left behind. So we are going to start off by deleting the unnecessary lines from the objects. Okay, so you're going to go through, going to find any sort of like lines. Like for instance, here I have a double line for some reason, so I'm going to get rid of one of those. Um, and I just need to go through like a lot of my stuff and just clean this up. These lines are going to give us a problem later on, so you definitely want to add them in. So let's talk about this back corner of my house here. I've already done this on my other model, and we are going to switch over to that one in a second here, but I'm just going to walk you through the basic process of how we're going to put these windows and doors in the openings more specifically. Next week, we're going to talk about the warehouse and being able to bring models into the drawing. But we'll break this up into 2 weeks because, again, it's just quite a bit to do all at one time otherwise. So when I look, I've gone through and I've sketched out like the windows and doors opening sizes of different things as I've gone through. Most windows and door models that you grab, they're going to include door casing trim, window casing trim as well. So when I measure my windows right now, I'm measuring to the outside of the trim. When I measure like the distance off of the ground, I measure like the floor, I measure to the bottom of the trim. When I'm measuring like off of walls to try and find stuff, I'm also measuring to the edge of the trim. And that just makes things easier later on. I would suggest that you do the same thing. So like I have three sliding windows in this corner. Off of this corner here, my sliding window to the edge of the trim is 6 inches away. So I'm going to draw a line that's 6 inches away. I'm going to find that endpoint, and I'm going to come up from that. Make sure that you're following the color code on when you're drawing your lines. For instance, this line that I'm drawing right now is on my blue axis, which is referring to like the blue axis over here, which is my vertical. Anything that's going back is going to be on my green axis, and anything going across is going to be on my red axis. So I want to come up because I'm measuring from the floor to the bottom of my window. And over there, there it is. My windows are 27 inches off of the floor. So I'm going to say 27. So all three of these windows in this corner are all the same size. They're 58 inches wide, 52 inches high. So I'm going to grab a rectangle tool, and I'm going to start at that point there. And always pay attention to, like, it depends, it seems, on like what axis you're on, which is going to determine like what dimension gets put in first over here. So right now it's going to be my width first, then my height. So my width in this case is 58 inches, and my height is 52 inches. I'm going to type that in. Again, if I click my middle mouse wheel, that's what's allowing me to pivot this thing around here. The windows on this side, they're also 6 inches away from this corner. And they're also 27 inches off of the ground. And again, I'm going to create a window here. If I look at this, it's my width and then my heights. So again, it's going to be 58 tab, or I'm sorry, not tab, but comma, and then 52. In between my windows, once again, we have 6 inches. And once again, same size window here. It is 58 inches wide, 52 inches high. Cool. So at this point, I can go through and I can start to erase like all of my kind of like measurement lines that I dropped in there. There's some measurement lines in the corners, but don't worry about those because they're just going to erase everything. So let's talk about opening windows up and stuff. So we'll grab our push-pull tool. If we just push randomly, it's going to create a box on the outside, okay? If we don't push enough, it's just going to create a ledge on the inside. We want to create an opening. So we're going to grab this, and we're going to take our mouse, and we're going to bring it up to the edge of the exterior of the wall. We're going to let go, and that's going to poke a hole in the room. Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry. That was probably loud. Anyways, so I'm going to bring these through, select the edges, okay? And at this point now I have openings, all right? So I'm going to click the save button, make sure that it's saved. Always, like, before you're done in this, just make sure that up here it says saved, you know, before you close out of this thing. But I'm going to open up my 3D house and get back to where I kind of was. So we can like look, and again, next week we'll talk about adding windows and changing the scale of all of that stuff. But there are those 3 windows that I put in. The openings were there, then I put the windows in afterwards, okay? And again, we'll talk about that next week, but you can start to see, like, I've added quite a few windows. I've been at this for a while now. So I've got a lot of stuff kind of done here. Let's add a few more openings in the house, and then I'm gonna let you guys get to work. So in this bedroom here, I have 2 windows. I have a window on this wall here. I have a window on this wall here. I also have 2 closets in this bedroom. There's a closet in this corner of the room, and there's a closet in this corner of the room. You can see my middle bedroom here. I have a closet as well. You can also see that there are like these lines still drawn in there, so I can just erase those lines to get rid of that partition there. And that's good. So let's work on adding the window openings to this room here. And again, I've already gone through, I've measured these, I've made some quick, super quick sketches about like the position of my windows for these things here. So I have 47 inches off of this wall is where this begins. And I want to find that, see, that's the midpoint line. That's not what I want. I want to find the end point of that line. which is right there. And from there, these windows are 43 inches off of the floor. So there's that first line there. Over on this side here, I measured 54 inches to the window. Again, I got to find the end point of that, and I'm going to come up, and again, this one is 43 inches from the floor. So from here, both of these windows are the same size. So I'm going to select here, and let's see here. My window is 44 inches wide, so I want to see, first of all, I'm going to type my width in first. So it's 44 inches wide, comma, 42 inches high. And again, that includes my like trim. Yeah. And then over here, same thing. It's going to be 44 inches wide by 42 inches high. Okay. And once again, I can erase here and here. And I can push and those windows through and bring them to the outside. Okay, so let's talk about my bathroom door here. My bathroom door is 2.5 feet off of this wall, so I'm going to draw down here, and 2.5 feet is 30 inches. That brings me to here. Okay, and that door, all of my interior doors in my house, I have a note on the other side here, are 84 inches high by 35 inches wide. And again, that's including trim. So what do I need to type in first? 35, tab, 84, enter. See, that's the wrong direction. So I'm going to say 84, tab, 35, enter. Still the wrong direction. This program is confusing sometimes. Let's try. Oh, that's part of the problem. Control. All right. Let's see here. So when I'm looking at the bottom right here, I can see like this is obviously wider than it is high. So it's my width first in this case. Let's see here. That width is going to be 35 inches, tab, and then my height is going to be 84 inches. Okay. And that like looks really weird from up here, but that's just a matter of perspective. When we go through, we're going to push this into that edge. And again, that opens that up. And these lines down here are unnecessary at this point. We can just erase those. Just be careful that you're not selecting like the floor itself. Like if you, on accident, select the floor and hit the delete key or something, now your floor is gone. That's not good. Undo that, bring it back again. So again, for this week, the goal here is that you need to go through and continue measuring some rooms up. You need to get all of the openings for all of your doors. That's closet doors, interior doors, exterior doors, all of your doors. And you need to transfer those dimensions into this drawing. And you also need to get all the dimensions for your windows, how wide they are, how high they are, how far off the floor they are, and how far off of some sort of like wall or window, something that you can, measure off of. And you're gonna put all those openings in this week. Okay, so I'll show you what all my openings look like here at the ends. A lot of them are still going to have the windows and doors in them. I'm not going to undo that work, but I'll show you guys how to do that again next time. Okay, so let me just finish putting these windows or these openings in, and I'll get back to you. Okay, so at this point here, I have all my openings. Oh, I did forget a window here, so I still need to add a window into this middle bedroom here. But oh, and actually in my bathroom, so I guess I don't have all my openings, but most of them. I need a window here and a window here. So I'll add those up real quick here. Let me give you like a 2-minute tutorial on how to add windows and doors. That's not required for this week. What you're going to do for this week is you're going to take a picture of your model with all your openings in it. Okay, so it's going to look more like this side of my house than that side of my house, where you have all your openings ready to go. But if you want to get a little bit of a head start on next week's work, I can show you what that's going to look like real quick, and then I'll go over this in a little bit more detail next week. So underneath components, which is this button over here, there's all sorts of stuff you can search. So like, let's say that I search for a window, lots of different windows out there. There are like some sliding windows, which are used in the back. You know, like a typical window in a house is what's called a double hung window. I have a bay window on the front of my house that I was able to find by searching bay window. Um, Windows that open up like from the bottom and they kind of like lean outwards, those are what are called an awning window. So double hung, sliding, bay window, awning window. Um, Casement windows are like if a window open, like if you crank a window out and it like swings from the side, that's a casement window. But let's talk about like a double hung window real quick, because that's going to be one of the common ones. So we're going to say double hung window. And not all models are created equally. Some models are better than others, so you definitely want to like take a look and see what kind of models you're using. This is the same model that I've already grabbed for other parts of my house. I'm going to use that again. I really like this model. It's nice and basic. I'm just going to take this model. I can Control C and I can select this, and I can say Control C and Control V, and I can like drop second ones in. All right, and what you want to do is you need to come to your Move tool, select your Move tool, and you want to grab your window by a corner, okay? So I'm going to grab this by like the interior corner, and it's the right-hand side. So I'm going to grab an opening, like let's say this opening here, and I just want to line up that corner with the corner that I have. Now notice it doesn't fit yet. That's okay. We're going to make that work. So over this tool over here, you can also select, so that's the Move tool. We can also select the Scale tool. And if you grab the edges, you can adjust the height and the width independent of one another. If you grab like the corner, it maintains that same scale. If you notice that like it sticks out beyond your house or it doesn't go out far enough, you can also like extend this thing forwards and backwards. So you can do that. So there's one window. And as you're going through this, one of the things that, so you can go through this process with like any window, any door that you find in the component library. The again, not all models are that great. Like anybody can put a model into here. So when you grab a model, you know, look at it. If it's like crooked or if the scale of it starts off like really ridiculously huge, like for instance, the first garage door that I put into my house came in scaled larger than the home itself. I suppose you could scale that down, but again, it's probably somebody who doesn't really know what's going on with the program. I might just go grab another one. I would go grab another one. So this window, we need to twist this so it fits into this opening here. So again, if we go to the Move tool, but instead of selecting Move or instead of selecting Scale, if we select Rotate, we're going to select like the top of the object, and the first thing we're going to need to do is grab an axis to turn on. Make sure that you're grabbing one of the colored axes, okay? It doesn't really matter, but in this case, I'm grabbing the green axis, and now I'm going to rotate it around 90 degrees so it's on the other colored axis, which is why it's important to grab your axes. So this is the red axis here. So we know that we've twisted that around exactly 90 degrees, which is great. Now that we've rotated that, we can go back, grab the Move tool, once again, select like a corner, put that into the opening in the corner there as well. And because this window was copied from this window, it's already dimensioned properly because it was the right size to begin with. So again, you're going to send me an image with all of your openings put together. But if you've got a little extra time and you want to get a head start on next week's assignment, you can start going through the component library and start throwing windows and doors into your model. Okay. So again, before you close out, make sure you hit save. Make sure it's saved before you close. It auto saves regularly, but by pushing that at the end, you just ensure that everything's good to go. All right, so that's it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Good luck. Email me with any questions, and I will talk to you later on. Bye-bye.